Hey guys, I'm Ashley, and if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you already saw part one of my super scoop pattern tutorial where we made the top of our scoop. This is our ice cream cone. This is our ice cream scoop. The flavor is, I'm gonna call it ube because I love that flavor, but if you wanna call it lavender, you can call it whatever you want. I'd love to see the different flavor combinations you guys come up with, but hopefully you had a good time. This is gonna get covered up by our whipped cream. And today we are basically going to be flipping this over and starting from the back loops of row 9, we will be inserting our cone color and making the cone with a special waffle stitch. It's gonna look just like this, and it's gonna have these waffle zigzag V's and stuff. It's gonna give it a nice, beautiful texture. So I hope you guys are ready. Hopefully your arms and your wrists don't hurt, but if they do, maybe take a break, come back to this another day. We don't want a repeated stress injury. So go ahead and stretch it out a little bit. Let's grab our hook and our pattern, which is available on Etsy. If you haven't purchased yet, please make sure you do that. And we are going to start with row 11. So in our cone color, this color is called Bone, I think, in Bernat Blanket Extra Thick. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of a tail here. We're gonna find where we left off, so you should still have your yarn tail from your purple, and we are going to look underneath there with our hands, and you should, if you worked into the front loops, you should be able to feel back loops kind of sticking out that you can stick your finger under in all of these underneath all of these scallops. So you have the scallop here, and it's not gonna be right here, it's gonna be further underneath where you see this hole where your scallop started. Right beneath your thumb, there should be another loop that you can grab, and you should be able to stick your finger under there. Now, if you can stick your finger under there, that means you can stick your hook under there. We're going to go to the very one right underneath our yarn tail, right underneath that single crochet. I'm gonna insert my hook with nothing on it. It's gonna be a little tight. I'm gonna pull up a loop, leaving a bit of a tail, just so that we don't have to worry there. Pull up a loop, and then I'm gonna chain one, and I'm going to single crochet into the same stitch. And that just kind of makes sure that when I'm working in the circle, I will then work back into this single crochet. Okay, so now I have one stitch right here. Now, what we're gonna do next is we are going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase for a total of 36 stitches. And the reason being is that the cone is a little bit wider than the scoop, so the scoop's kind of sitting in it, and then it'll taper down to a smaller point at the bottom. This is a bit of a change since my very first prototype, but I like this version best. So we're gonna go 1, 2, working into these back loops. If I just stick my hook in, it kind of finds a way through. You don't want to work into the actual stitch you already made. Like, you should not be seeing the color of the cone through your scoop. If you're working into these stitches, you'll see it, but if you're working just into the back loop, that's my little secret trick right there, that's not gonna show. And this is how I do my ice cream patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the back loop only. And you know what, if you messed up on the back loops, leaving those available, then you can go ahead and just pull out your ruffle row and then do that ruffle row again only in the front loops, and it's not too late. You don't have to start over. You're just gonna have to do a little bit of what we call frogging. Frog it back 1 row and then try again. And then I'm increasing here. And let's do that all the way around. So if your stitch count is correct, your last increase should be in the final back loop of your purple row of row 9, and then you'll have a little gap right here, and you're just gonna work into the top of this first stitch here, and it will close up, okay? So we don't have to worry about I don't really, personally, I have struggles with slip stitching to the beginning of the round because it throws off the math in my brain. So I just like to work into the first stitch. It'll close it up. Let's not worry too much about it. So in the next round, we are going to do something that I don't really know the real name for it. This is just what I do in my ice cream scoop patterns in my mix and match ice cream shop to make the waffle texture. So if you enjoy this stitch now, you'll enjoy it on a smaller version as well. This is called a long single crochet. And so first we're gonna do a regular single crochet into that first stitch. And the long single crochet, let me see if I can find a way to show you. Instead of going into the top of this stitch right here, right? And instead of going into the top, we're going to go into the base of it, which is right by the purple, okay? And that's gonna be our long single crochet. So we do one normal single crochet, and in the next one, instead of going here, we're gonna put our hook in here. Go in, pull up a loop, and keep that loop nice and loose because you're gonna be working into it in the next round, and then you pull through both. And I don't know if you can tell here, maybe I'll be able to zoom in afterwards, but it makes this long leg right here that goes into right at the base of the ice cream scoop where the scoop meets the cone. So we have a regular single crochet, a long single crochet, and we're gonna do that all the way around. So on the next stitch, you're gonna insert it into the top, and make sure you're not accidentally going backwards and inserting it into the top of where the last one should have been, but insert it into the top of the next one, and then you're gonna go back to where the purple meets the brown, pull up a long leg, and pull through both, and keep those nice and loose. Okay, and like I said, instead of going underneath this one on accident, make sure you're going over to the next one for the next stitch. We'll go in for a single crochet, and we'll just do that all the way around. If you guys needed more in-depth tutorial of this part where I'm doing these weird stitches and you want to see it from above, like a top down, please let me know and I will put it on my list to make a different angle for you to be able to tell. But I'm also hoping to make a tutorial for this stitch on smaller yarn that might be easier to see. That's not as puffy because this yarn is just super, super plush. So it's a little hard to see that stitch definition, but let me know if that'd be helpful for you and I can definitely put it on my list and make that happen. Okay, so your last stitch of round 12 should be a long single crochet in the very last stitch. I forgot to put a stitch marker, but you should do that. Put a little loose string. Let me see if I have one. Oh, here we go. Put a little loose string into your last stitch. That kind of helps because it's just so puffy, it's hard to tell. So your last stitch of the round should be a long single crochet, and in the next round, we're doing something. Whew, it's a mouthful. I'm calling it a split front post single crochet. So let's work backwards. A single crochet, we're going in, pulling up a loop, pulling through both loops, right? Front post single crochet is when we're going around the front post, like the legs of the stitch. We're going, instead of going in the fabric, we're going around, like let's see right here, this is a long single crochet. I'll put it in sideways and do my single crochet through this leg. So that'd be a front post single crochet. What I want you to do is split, each stitch has 2 legs. I want you to split them in half and do half of one stitch and half of the other stitch around the front leg. So we're splitting the front post and doing a single crochet. So let me show you how we're gonna do that. So what we're gonna do first is in the stitch that we just made, it was a long single crochet. I want you to take your finger and separate out these 2 legs of your stitch. This is in the front of my work. This is not going into my work, right? I'm not reaching into the ice cream. I'm working around the outside of it now. So there are 2 legs of this long single crochet. We're gonna take the one next to my hook, right? The one on my left. And I'm going to insert my hook into that leg. And I'm gonna take the leg on the right hand side of my next long one. So we're skipping the middle. I'm going just to working in the long ones, right? We're gonna take the right leg of this one, the one closest to the hook, and go underneath. So I have now my working loop, a left leg and a right leg. So we're splitting these legs, splitting the front post. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then pull through both. And that is giving us the little V right here that's gonna look like our waffle stitch. It took me a very, 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 very long time to figure out how to make a waffle cone look like a waffle cone in my mix and match ice cream shop. And it's the same principle applied here. So please just, if it's hard, commit to it, give it a second, but also please don't steal this because it took a lot of effort. And so I appreciate you, if you wanna use this in your own pattern, go for it. But please don't recreate it, because that's what sets my patterns apart from every other ice cream pattern that's out there, is the special way that I make the waffle cone. So we're doing that right now. So we split front post single crochet, followed by a regular single crochet in the next stitch. Then you should see you have one leg left that's available here. So go ahead and go under that and grab the right leg of this long single crochet, go under one of these, not both, and we're yarning over, pulling through both to make that V shape, yarning over, pulling through both. So that makes a split front post single crochet followed by a regular single crochet in the next stitch. We're gonna do that all the way around, and that is gonna give us a beautiful zigzag waffle texture. So you should always have one leg left when you're working until you get to the very end, and then you'll use up the leg that was left over from your first stitch. So we're going through one of each, pulling through and pulling through. And again, let me know if you need this vertically, like from top down, so that you can see really into the stitches, maybe with a yarn that's not so fluffy. I'd be happy to do that if that's something that you guys want me to do. And I really appreciate everybody's supportiveness as I've started this business. You know, I've been doing this a long time, but putting yourself out there is kind of scary, and it's really been fun, and I've met some amazing people, and I have no bad things to say. As of right now, everyone has been super kind, super, you know, honest and grateful, and I've just met amazing people. So I'm thankful that you guys are part of the family, and thanks for continuing to watch and for hitting subscribe. And you know, we're all learning together. I'm not promising to be perfect. I'm definitely not, but I'm always working to get better, and that makes me feel pretty good. So your last two stitches will be the split front post single crochet followed by a single crochet. So your last stitch is going to be a single crochet right here. And then we can go ahead and move our stitch marker up. There we go. And in the next round, we're gonna start the same process over again, but a little bit smaller. So we need to decrease to 30 stitches. So we'll do 4 single crochets followed by a decrease in the next round. And then we'll do the long single crochet round, and then we'll do the split front post single crochet round. And that'll create another layer of that waffle texture, just a little bit smaller in diameter. So let's go ahead and do our decrease round now. All right, so the next round, guys, first of all, so my shoulder is starting to feel it, and so is my wrist. So this is why we do these things in parts. If you need to take a break, take a break. For me, the first time I made this giant ice cream, I did it all in one sitting, and I was so sore the next day. So we're gonna go ahead and keep working. The next round is the single crochet followed by a long single crochet all the way around in our 30 stitches. So single crochet, we know how to do that. Now when you're doing your long single crochet, you're not going all the way back to your scoop. What you're gonna do is go one row back, right? So the long single crochet is not right underneath the legs of your stitch. It's gonna be where your last stitch went into. So not here, but down here. So it'll make a long leg, but not all the way down to here. So just one row beneath where you just worked. So here, move down one row, pull up a nice loose loop right there, and it makes one long single crochet. Okay, I'm gonna take out my stitch marker, set that aside, and in the next round, we are going to do our split front post single crochet, starting with the stitch we just made. Look down from your hook, down into these legs, and find the leg that's closest to your left hand. Go ahead and stick your hook under that. Find the next long single crochet and separate those two, and grab the right leg. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're gonna yarn over, pull through the 2 legs in the front of your work, and then pull through both on your hooks. That made a single crochet. And then you're gonna do your next single crochet kind of just in the middle on the next stitch. Just a normal single crochet right next to it. And then you'll grab the left leg that was remaining and the right leg of the next one. And we'll just keep working around just like that. Okay, my shoulder is burning. This counts as my right arm workout for the day, not so much my left. Okay, so we're done with pretty much most of the cone now. We just need to make the bottom. So we ended with a single crochet, and the next round is, right, back loops only. We're going to be decreasing as we go. So when you work in the back loops only of something like this, it's gonna turn your work. So instead of working this way, it's turning it. So we're gonna start working towards the center. So now we're working on the base of our cone, which is good because this is about how much yarn I have left, and it's gonna be cutting it close. So you should only need 1 ball. Let's go ahead and finish this off. If you need a break, take a break. I'm not taking one because I'm stubborn. All right, so we're gonna do 3 single crochets and a decrease in the back loops only of our work. You should be pretty comfortable with back loops now if you made it through the scoop, but decreasing in the back loops only is a little bit trickier. I'm still just picking up the back loops of both and just kind of wiggling the yarn through both. It kind of takes a little longer, and then yarning over and pulling through both loops on my hook like a normal crochet, like a normal single crochet. I am getting so tired. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is take my leftover purple yarn, which was not enough to make another row, but it is plenty of yarn to save. We don't wanna throw this away. We're gonna stuff this into the top of our scoop. And then we're getting to the point where you're gonna need a whole lot of polyfill. If you have leftover yarn that's not too thin, that might like poke out, if you have leftover fabric scraps, if you have an old pillow that you don't like, that you want to rip up, if you have cushioning, anything that you want to fill this up, it will probably take an entire bag of polyfill, if not more. I buy mine in a really big box because I make a lot of plushies, but if you don't make a lot of plushies, use what you have on hand. Stuff a pillow in there, stuff something else, stuff old t-shirts in there. Okay, my baby just woke up and he's having a snack now, so I can see him, but I don't know how much time I have left. So let's try to finish this out while we can. The next round we're gonna do 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. So it'll be a total of 18 stitches. We just decreased to 24, now we're decreasing to 18. This is through both loops. We are almost done. We have one more decrease round and then you can stuff it, or if you want to stuff it now, you can go ahead and do that as well. I prefer to stuff it at 12 stitches. It's still enough to fit my hand inside, but this is at 18 stitches. So let's go ahead and do a single crochet decrease all the way around for a total of 12 stitches. All right, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I have just one more row of decreases. I have plenty of yarn left. So what you're gonna do is go ahead and get your polyfill stuffing. We're gonna bring it back here, stuff it up. We're going to actually do the final row of decreases, and then I'm gonna use this excess yarn to stuff in at the very end. So let's go get that polyfill. This is definitely not gonna be enough, but I will just do it for demonstration purposes. This is how much I have left. I've been making a lot of things this past 6 months since I started my business and doing craft fairs. It's like I've already gone through now 2 big boxes, 5-pound boxes of polyfill. So polyfill, do you want to sponsor me? That'd be so nice. I'm just gonna stuff this as best I can for demonstration purposes. And like I said, we can always use scrap yarn, t-shirts, other pillows, whatever you need to use. I'm gonna go ahead and get that pretty stuffed. Now we want this to sit flat, so this part does not need to be stuffed all the way out. This can sit flat. Whoa. There we go. And this, I'm gonna kind of stretch out with my fingers. Make sure that when you're stuffing it, you're gonna wanna make sure this is filled in exactly how you want it to be before you close it off, because you can really move around that filling. So I'm kind of stretching this out as best I can here. I don't know if other crocheters say to do this. This is just what I do. And then I'm gonna stick my hand in and kind of work around my filling to just make sure that it's not lumpy and it's stuffed kind of how I want it to be. And this is gonna have whipped cream on it, but other than that little bump, I think it's nice and fluffy and round. So I'm gonna go ahead and push this down. And then we will do our final row of decreased stitches, and then we can cut our yarn, weave our tail through and pull it, and it will be closed off forever. If you're shipping this to someone, leave it empty and let them stuff it themselves, and then they can pull the end through. You'll just have to send them a few instructions, but honestly, it's gonna be so much cheaper to ship if it lays flat. So that's my tip. Let's go ahead and do these last decreases. And then on the next video, I will show you how to do eyes, mouth, whipped cream, and cherry. And we'll make those all separately and put them on. Okay, I have 6 stitches left. There's still a bit of a hole, so I could still definitely fit some stuffing in there. So what I'm gonna do is give myself a tail about this long, just to make sure I can weave it in a few times. And I'm gonna cut and stick the rest of my yarn in to finish stuffing my my ice cream cone, because it's gonna save on the cost of polyfill as well. So let's go ahead and see if we can just stick in all of our excess yarn. And it's got quite a bit. So this will help finish filling the bottom. Okay. Getting the last little bits of yarn stuffed in there. I want to make sure that that's nice and even. Smush it down so that my base is flat, because remember that's going to sit flat on a table. And then we're going to pull our tail through our loop like that, just to fasten it off. And then the last little bit we're gonna do is actually what we would normally do with a tapestry needle, but instead of using a tapestry needle, I'm just gonna use my fingers. So I'm gonna reach into the front loop only of each of these 6 stitches that remain and pull my yarn through. So there's 1, I'm just reaching through the front loop. There's 2. You have to be careful with this stage. At this point, I might pull it a little bit just to make sure, because if you pull too hard on this yarn, it could pop, and if it pops right at the base, you're gonna have a problem. So be very gentle as you're pulling these through. Don't just yank it. Kind of just tease it through those 3 stitches and tighten those up a little bit. As you go through each stitch, pull it a little bit tighter and tighter, and it'll close that hole. Pretty much closed, nothing should fall out. And then you can kind of do a few more little weaving in stitches to keep it closed and secure. All right, this is my 6th stitch. I'm pulling through, so now it's gone through each stitch, through the front loops, and I've kind of just tightened as I went. And I'm just tightening a little bit more, and as you can see, there's not a hole that anything is gonna fall out of. It might not be, I can still, you know, kind of get like my crochet hook in there if I needed to, but we want that to sit flat. So what we're gonna do is we're going to insert our hook through one of these stitches in the side, up through here, pull our tail through, and this is counting as like weaving it in, okay? Pulling it through there, nice and secure, and then I'm going to bring it back, inserting back into about the middle area, into a stitch above where this tail's coming out, and pulling it back through to the top, or bottom rather. And you don't want your sides to pucker, so that doesn't have to be super tight, but it'll help keep the bottom flat. 1 or 2 more times. Just make sure that you're working the bottom around as you go. I'm gonna always move 1 stitch over when I pick up my yarn and pull it through. There we go. And I'll just pull it back through to the middle section. All right, you'll notice I've kind of gone around in a circle and done this all the way around, and it's very, very flat. So I don't have to worry about it not sitting flat on a surface. So this is what we're working with. You'll need to, my baby is talking so much. You'll need to weave in your ends, but I would like to just do that maybe all at the end tomorrow when we make our eyes, our all right, I've got to go, but I'll see you guys tomorrow for making the eyes, mouth, cherry, and whipped cream. So have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe. Bye.